beautiful day. Show of hands, who was here on Veterans Day 2018? Few people. Well, I said it was a beautiful day then, and it was 0 degrees out with flurries in the air, so I was going to say that today no matter what. I'm anticipating a flyover here in a minute, but my name is Gary Bosenheiler. I am the Johnson County Veterans Affairs Director. Thank you all for coming. It's been a crazy year, so I figured let's try a little bit of lighter music this year. Then I met Army veteran Glenn Chatfield, and we have bagpipes. There's nothing light about bagpipes, but this is a wonderful addition to our ceremony. Thank you very much for that opening with the military set. A couple of housekeeping things to go over real quick. I believe as of today, masks are highly recommended versus mandatory. They are available over on the table. So if you'd like to wear a mask, we've got them available. Otherwise, I would ask everyone to please continue to respect each other's distance. Can you hear me in the back? Thank you. Also on the table, Kleenex, hand sanitizer, bug spray, there's bottled water, there's umbrellas. There are programs if you did not get a program. I do want to thank a few dignitaries while we wait for our flyover. First individual I struggled with introducing, so I stole the theme from the Marines, once a Marine, always a Marine, to once a Congressman, always a Congressman. Congressman Lipsek, thank you for coming. And thank you for supporting my department of veterans for as long as I've known you. Congratulations on your retirement. Also like to welcome Senator Kevin Kinney. I've got a few here. Representative Christina Bohannon. I see Mayor Donahue from North Liberty. There's Representative Dave Jacoby in the back. I've got Bob Dvorsky, Senator Bob Dvorsky, former Senator Bob Dvorsky, and former Supervisor Pat Harney. Any other dignitaries I'm missing? I also have Chairperson from the Johnson County Board of Supervisors, Supervisor Pat Hayden, in attendance, and of course she will be reciting the proclamation for Memorial Day. And General Sentman, 21 years in the Air Force, I never had a general's phone number in my cell phone that I could call or text. I can't text the general, but I can call him on his flip phone. But thank you for your accessibility, General. It means the world to me. Let's enjoy the flyover. I'm sorry the Thunderbirds were busy. This is Greencastle Aero Club. That's the missing man formation. I do want to thank everyone in attendance, especially those who gave the ultimate sacrifice. That is why we are here. This day is for you. Air Force Reserve Officer Training Corps, Detachment 255, which is where I retired out of. Post the colors and present the wreath. That was one of my commissioners of the Veterans Affairs, Bill Blanchard, accepting the wreath. Now I'd like to invite Hawkeye Area Council, Troop 212, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now I'd like to introduce retired Major General Sentman to provide us with some history on the Armory, which stood behind us from 1937 as a result of the 2008 floods. It was tore down, and that is why we're here today. And he's got a surprise up his sleeve, if you can imagine that. General Sentman.
First of all, please take your seats. Never leave them standing, Gary. Good afternoon, and welcome to the dedication, rededication again, if you will. We could talk about a lot of things. There's a little bit of history, goes quite a ways on this site. In 1980, I was commanding a brigade here in the state, and one of the units under my command was the units that occupied this armory that used to be behind us where the solar field is. Out in front here where the admin building was, it used to be a city park. So we needed a little extra room, unit did, to train, park some vehicles and so forth. So I approached the city of Iowa City. I said, would you guys consider selling us this city park? I remember 1980. And I still got the letter, in fact, that I received back from a couple of the council members. And in no uncertain terms, they didn't really want to give up anything. Plus, they didn't really want to give it up to the military. So we let that rest. But thought, well, okay, that's kind of the sign of the times. Vietnam being over and all that. So we come to 2008, as Gary said, and the flood came and devastated the armory, the existing armory. So we knew at that time that we were going to have to be able to do it. Funds were short. Rented a spot for the units to be in, but I guess it's kind of funny because I was retired from the active side of the house then, and they had a site given to them. And I got a call one morning from Colonel Dave Rogers, who's head of military facilities, and he said, do you know of a better site in the Iowa City area for our new armory? And I said, yeah, matter of fact, I do. He said, well, could you kind of state what that is? I said, better than that. I said, I'll work with some of the people involved and we can set up a meeting. So the first guy I called was a guy who was supervisor at that time, the name of Pat Harney. Pat, I think you're back there somewhere. And there he is. And I said, Pat, we're looking for a better site for an armory than what we've been given. I said, suppose you guys would be interested in swapping a piece of ground out on Melrose Avenue for the original site right behind us. Guys, he said, you know, Pat said, I think that might be a pretty good idea. He says, let me talk to the rest of the supervisors and see what we can come up with. So he called me back in the next day or so, and he said, yeah. He said, we consider that. So I said, okay. So at that time, we called Representative Leach, who was ahead of Dave here, occupied the spot. And we set up a meeting between Colonel Rogers, myself, the Board of Supervisors, and Representative Leach. And we hammered it out one afternoon. And you know, the beauty of this whole thing was taxpayers didn't spend a dime. We did an even up swap, didn't we, Pat? And you know, I think that's probably the last time I can remember when federal, state, and local governments actually worked together. I wish they'd do more of it today. But that was kind of a great deal, and we ended up with a great site, with a great armory, a perfect location. The county's made good use of what the facility that used to be here was. But part of that agreement, and I guess I stated it during the meeting, Pat would remember it, I said, you know, the units in this armory went on and served admirably since their formation. In World War I, units went down to the Mexican border to begin with, 1916, Chase Ponce Villa, under General Pershing, and they no more than got home, and 2 months later they federally activated once again for World War I. So they all came back, they reformed the units. They finally built this armory, about 38, for $60,000, if you can believe that. And in January 1941, they were mobilized again for World War II. They didn't get discharged until about 1945 and some in 1946 to come back home. They served in Africa, Italy, France, Germany, pretty much all over the globe. The CAV unit that was here made the D-Day invasion on Normandy on D-Day. The Engineers of the 20th Corps. They actually were the ones, in Iowa City folks, that met the Russians on the Elbe in May of 1945 for the link-up for the final capitulation of Germany. The medical unit served at the Kasserine Pass. They served all the way at Salerno, all the way through the length of Italy. The final surrender in 1945 in the Po Valley, and the 34th German Division at that time surrendered then to the 34th Army Division. So there's a lot of record, a lot of history in this thing, and I said, hey, what would be good if we get this thing all consummated, everything built, if we'd have a memorial on this site to remember. And thus you see, I think I wrote the history, it's up there, of the units that were serving here at that time, and their battalions. So a lot of people went through those units over a period of years. In World War II, 6 lost their lives. They were all in the 113th Cav. Leroy Weeks, which is a VFW post here in Iowa City is named after, was the first to die outside of St. Lo, killed by German gunfire. So that's kind of a short story on how this whole thing kind of come about. I think Pat back there could verify it. If I'm wrong, speak up, Pat. I get wrong about a lot of things. But I would like to shift gears just a little bit. Today is Memorial Day. And I, a few years ago, wondered how many people from Johnson County gave the supreme sacrifice since we became a state in 1846. So I went to work and started looking, and the further I got into it, the more interesting it got. So what I came up with, and I'll tell you what, I spent more time in the library than I ever did when I was in school. But that's all right, the older you get, the dumber you get, so you kind of work it out that way. But it was interesting. I went through a lot of graveyards. I went to the military archives, and actually the State Historical Society had a great library of past newspapers from Johnson County, and I screened through those. But what I came up with was some very interesting figures. In the Civil War, now mind you, when the Civil War broke out, Iowa had only been a state for 14 years. There were over 9,000 people served from Johnson County in the Civil War. 263 lost their lives in the Civil War. And I'll tell you what, disease ravaged a lot of them, and of course if you got wounded in those days, the first reaction was to saw off the limb, and a lot of people died from amputations, so on and so forth. It was just pretty gruesome. In fact, I had 262 when I did that, and here a few years back, through DNA testing at the Battle of Vicksburg, there were 2 brothers named Ditwaller that came from right out east Iowa City here, right off of Utah Avenue. And one of them, they both were killed the same day in breastworks there in Vicksburg. Christian was located and he was buried in a marked grave. Jacob, his brother, was buried in a mass grave and was not found his remains and got DNA tested until here about 10 years ago. So he added to the 263 that I'm talking about. We had a funeral for him out here at a little cemetery as you turn off Highway 6 east of town, right off on Utah. It's just a postage stamp cemetery there. We had a good funeral there. Unions of Veterans of the Civil War were there. Gary was there. I was there, raining like a cat on whatever. Terrible day, but we had over 100 and some people there to honor that person. So we moved forward to the Spanish-American War. We had a lot of people in this county serve, but none lost their life. World War I, we had 38 gave up their lives. And here's another interesting fact. 5 were battle deaths. We think we just went through a pandemic. The pandemic they went through then was called Spanish flu, worldwide. And the military really suffered greatly from it. So out of that 38, only 5 were battle deaths. One, James Steinacher from Solon, was wounded on the 10th of November, and he passed away just before the armistice was signed the next day. His brother, Ed, died of the flu down in New Mexico. So I can go through all these names, but I know you don't want to sit here until dark to have me recite all the names, so I won't do that. World War II. 102 people gave their life from this county in World War II. Interesting story here, 2 women were killed in World War II. One was Helen B. Miller, was a Red Cross worker, got killed by Japanese cannon fire in the Philippines. And the other one was a gal from right here by Sharon Center, between here and Sharon Center, named Glenna Roberts. If you ever take that Sharon Center road, you'll see a red octagon barn, we call it a round barn, off on the south side of the road. That's where she born and grew up, and her nephew's still there on that same farm. But Glenna became a WASP pilot. A WASP pilot meant Woman's Army Support Pilot. And they were to take the relieved men they ferried aircraft and helped train people here in the States. And they'd ferry aircraft overseas to replace the ones that had been lost. Glenna unfortunately happened to be on the B-17 that torpedoed in and lost the whole crew of 10 at that time. So, and then later on the Veterans Department recognized WASP pilots as being officially veterans, and that didn't happen until I think 72 or 73. Not very many served. 1,100 nationwide served, and I think there was 57 from Iowa that served in that capacity. We move on to Korea, and there were 9 that gave up their lives in Korea. In Vietnam, there were 13 from our area. And then in the War on Terror, there's been 2. Kampfa Sarong was a member of the medical unit here of the National Guard. They mobilized a unit out of Waterloo, an infantry unit. He volunteered to go with them. He lost his life in Afghanistan. The second person was Robert B. Miller, who's originally from Pennsylvania, was going to school here at the University of Iowa. And he, as soon as 9/11 happened, he volunteered, joined the Army as a regular, and he was killed leading his people in Afghanistan, and he was the first Medal of Honor winner for the War on Terror, awarded posthumously. So Johnson County may be known as a very liberal, Iowa City in particular area. But at the same token, you can witness with the names you see here and the people that I just recited that it's a patriotic county also, very patriotic. If you ever have time to go up the Veterans Trail, at the head of the Veterans Trail at the Coralville Reservoir, I have all those names of the people I was just talking about listed by war period at the head of the trail. So you can go up there, if you got an ancestor or something, you guys go up there and you can see the name. And I apparently got everybody, because I never really heard too much static from people who said so-and-so didn't get put on there, so did something right. So that's good. It's just something that we should remember in our hearts and minds. The people that sacrificed by either serving or those that gave the ultimate sacrifice to keep our freedoms free. Darn it, that's what it's all about, and we don't want to change this country to anything different than what it's been. And I'm a traditionalist, I'll admit. But we've got the greatest country, and those that have been able to get around and see other parts of the world, they know exactly what we're talking about. The problem is people don't leave this country, don't appreciate what we have here. People that served have fought to keep it free, and we got to continue to do that. I'm going to shift gears one more time. I got a phone call here the other morning. A young man, I helped get into the Naval Academy. Graduated 4 years ago. He finished the school. He's assigned to, I believe it's an air rescue squadron in the Navy. Deployed to Hawaii at the present time. He was here attending a school in San Diego, home on leave, due to report back Wednesday, I think he said. But he had a very wonderful thing happen to him. So at this time, I would like to call forward Lieutenant Junior Grade George Jacob Swinka, front and center. He got wonderful news while he was here at home. He's being promoted to lieutenant. And so we're going to swear him in. So if you would all please just rise and join me in this ceremony. Lieutenant, raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
George Jacob Swinka.
Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend
Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance
That I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same.
to the same.
That I will take this obligation freely,
That I will take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservations or purpose of evasion.
without any mental reservations or purpose of evasion.
And that I will work well and faithfully discharge
And that I will and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office in which I am about to enter.
the duties of the office of which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Mrs. George, Amy Swinka, would you please come front and center? You know, this happens a lot of different ways over the years, but see, Jake wanted something special, and this is special, having a nice crowd like this. So at this time, we'll have the mother put on one brass, and I'll fix the other one. And at this time, I'd like to have Steve Swinka front and center. This is the father of the new promoted, and he'll fix the headpiece. Don't stab yourself, Steve. Please congratulate the newest lieutenant in the United States Navy. Congratulations, sir. Jake is flying, I think, air rescue, right?
It's a Maritime Strike Squadron, sir.
Okay. And he's flying in the Army, we call them Blackhawks, but that's basically UH-60 aircraft, so good luck to you and Godspeed.
Thank you,
Stay
sir.
safe.
Thank you, sir.
Please be seated. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That kind of ends what I've got to say here. I turn this back over to Gary. Thank you.
Before I introduce our next speaker, I recognize a few more dignitaries. Senator Zach Walls, former Supervisor Mike Carberry, Lone Tree Mayor Havel sitting back there, Joanne Havel, and North Liberty City Councilman Chris Hoffman. If there are others, I apologize. You know, I opened up saying what a crazy year it's been, and I will add to that with this short story when General Sentman called me to ask me for permission. How crazy is that? That was to do a promotion ceremony. And I said, the only body getting promoted is going to be me. He didn't go for that. He pulled rank in a heartbeat. But that's we are doing a non-traditional ceremony. Obviously, it's Memorial Day. We're here to recognize the addition of a memorial, and now you all got to witness a promotion ceremony. So great addition. I would like to introduce Johnson County Supervisor Chairperson Pat Hayden to recite Memorial Day proclamation.
First of all, congratulations, Lieutenant Swinka, and congratulations to Mom and Dad. It's an honor to be here to witness that. And I am pleased to read the Johnson County Board of Supervisors proclamation honoring veterans on Memorial Day. Whereas, from the beginning of our nation's history, the men and women of the United States military have played an important role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms guaranteed by the Constitution and in protecting the lives and property of our citizens. And whereas, on Memorial Day, we pause to remember that freedom comes at a great cost. Throughout history, in fields, skies, and seas around the world, American military personnel have given their lives to defend our liberty and uphold the promise of our democracy. And whereas it is important that people know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of military veterans and their personal courage, love of country, and dedication to duty. And whereas it is fitting and proper that we express our gratitude for their dedicated service, courageous deeds, sacrifice, and for the contributions they have made to the security and well-being of all our citizens. And whereas the first Memorial Day was observed in 1868 in remembrance of soldiers who died in the Civil War, for 153 years our nation has set aside this day to pay homage to Americans who have fallen in service to our country. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Johnson County Board of Supervisors, do hereby recognize Memorial Day today, May 31st, 2021, and invite all government officials, patriots, civic and educational organizations, and all residents of Johnson County to observe this day by commemorating veterans, past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service for preserving liberty and rights and security for all citizens. Signed on the 27th of May, 2021 in Johnson County, Iowa, Pat Hayden, Chairperson, Johnson County Board of Supervisors. Thank you all for being with us today, for the dedication of this space, and to help celebrate, honor, and remember the fallen.
Thank you, Supervisor Hayden. I'm going to talk real quick. Not a traditional Memorial Day speech, but I kind of am in charge of the script. I accept this proclamation on behalf of our fallen heroes and their families, the over 700,000 family members who are receiving benefits from their fallen soldier. Particularly, I accept this proclamation on behalf of the families I've had the pleasure of working with and connecting them to benefits they are eligible for, most not under ideal situations, several of whom are here today. Today is not a day to thank veterans. Could and should do that every day, especially on Veterans Day, November 11th. Today, as it's been mentioned, is a day to honor those who did give the ultimate sacrifice. When they raised their hand and signed their lives away on the dotted line to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, they knew they were possibly going to die for their country right away, in the line of duty, in combat. So many veterans I'm working with are dying years later as a result of the casualties of war, friendly fire. When you get home later, Google Agent Orange and the burn pits, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Clear distinction again is for those who died for us, who didn't get to parade when they came home and are now suffering daily as a result. Memorial Day began in 1868, called Decoration Day then. Memorial Day came about in World War II. Federal law recognized it as a federal holiday in 1967. As you can imagine, there was a bit of controversy behind Memorial Day. I want to talk a little bit about inscriptions and engravings, since that's part of why we're here today. As of Wednesday, every new order that's been placed has been engraved. The mission of the Department of Veterans Affairs is engraved outside of their headquarters in Washington, D.C. It needs modified. The mission of the Department of Veterans Affairs is to care for him who shall have borne the battle, and for his widow and his orphan. I say it might need modified because almost 17% of the armed forces today is made up of female veterans. My role, or my job, which is my honor, is working with veterans. When I started in August 2012, we had, according to a VA census, we had 1,500 more veterans than we have now. Doing paperwork in my office has resulted in millions and millions of dollars in benefits that come into the county. It's far too many. If you know a veteran or family member out there that needs help, call me tomorrow. Our role is to watch over our nation's fallen and their families. Ceremonies like these are a great opportunity to earn their respect, mutual gratitude. I, for one, will forever be in debt for those who defended our country with their lives. This ceremony is the least we can do. Our memorial was built for 3 reasons. If you look inside your program, you'll see a picture of the old armory underwater. This memorial was built to honor the memorial and also to continue to honor and preserve our veterans, preserve their legacies, not just veterans who are from Johnson County, but also as a place for families from Johnson County to pay their respects for their loved one from elsewhere. So the General mentioned numbers, which we have 2 new killed in action veterans on this wall from the Gulf War. I'm leaving their names out. I didn't talk to their families. We also have Captain Luther Smith. He dropped out of law school, the University of Iowa Law School, to join the Tuskegee Airmen in World War II, an all-black fighter squadron. 133 combat missions. He was a prisoner of war for 7 months. When I was still active, when this uniform fit a little better, I had the honor of joining Captain Luther Smith as he was inducted into the University of Iowa Distinguished Alumni. I was on cadre still, and I was invited, and I wish I had asked him a million questions, but it was just an honor to be with him. We have Emma Hora. She's Iowa City, born and raised. Went to the University of Iowa to become a registered nurse. General mentioned WASPs, which was one form of volunteerism. Emma was a WAVE, Women Accepted into Volunteer Emergency Service. We have Walter Johnson, who is the first Coralville veteran killed in action in World War II. He is who the Iowa City Post 721, American Legion Post 721 is named after. The General mentioned Sergeant Leroy Weeks, killed in action in World War II. VFW Post 3949 is named after him. We have veterans from World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, peacetime, all who answered the call to serve. A friend of mine the other day used the word heartstrings when he mentioned this memorial. The veterans that pulled my heartstrings the most are those that marched to their recruiter on September 12th, 2001. And we've got a lot. We still have 25 unaccounted veterans from Vietnam alone. I want you to envision a piece of granite similar but a little shorter behind us with an addition to our memorial with the Prisoner of War Missing in Action logo on that. The Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency mission is to recover the military listed as POW or MIA. If there's ever a mission to stand behind 100%, it's that of the POW MIA Accounting Agency. I've become a huge fan. No One Left Behind is their theme. Navy First Class William Tucker, 19, Bedford, Iowa. died December 7th, 1941 aboard the USS Oklahoma on Battleship Pearl Harbor. 429 of his shipmates died that day. Over the next 3 years, the Navy personnel recovered the remains of the deceased crew. In 1947, the Army Graves Registration Service disinterred the remains where they confirmed 35 men. The unidentified were then buried in 46 plots at the National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific, known as the Punch Bowl. In 1949, the military classified those who couldn't be identified as non-recoverable, including Tucker. In 2015, the Defense POW MIA accounting agency exhumed the USS Oklahoma unknowns from the Punch Bowl for analysis. Due to science, and we've heard a lot about science over the last year or so, especially DNA, as of 30 April 2021, 341 of the 429 crewmen have been identified. Navy First Class William Tucker, 19, will be buried with honors in Bedford, Iowa, June 30th, 2021. Now that's a special Memorial Day. While cleaning preparation for this event, I found a dollar bill. That means nothing, except for it prompted me to tell you about the coins you see. When you see a penny, that means somebody paid their respects. A nickel means that somebody served in training with that veteran. A dime means they served on active duty with that veteran. When you see a quarter, that indicates that that person was with the veteran when they were killed in action. I've got 2 quarters up here. I don't know exactly who left them, but that's part of our memorial. If you haven't grabbed a poppy, grab one. It is the symbol of military sacrifice. I want to thank the Johnson County Board of Supervisors, my Veterans Affairs Commission, my wife Dawn for not tearing this particular speech in half like the last one. Now I'm in trouble. For putting up with me, essentially. I want to thank the Information Technology Department for keeping our website and this kiosk up to speed. Made primarily Clint, Gary, and Shannon. Shannon's in charge of all the bios that you see on the website and a lot of the graphic designing. A couple folks from Physical Plant who are not here, but I'll thank them anyway. Freddie, Sherry, and BJ for getting the mulch down just in time last week. Greencastle Aero Club for the flyover. Custom European Landscaping for the work behind us. Actually, these bricks that I'm standing on used to be down the Iowa City Ped Mall. We've repurposed them. I want to thank the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Post 3949, Alan Gerard, AWG Services LLC, Iowa City American Legion Post 17, Swisher American Legion Post 671, North Liberty American Legion Post 1976. I want to thank the Iowa Veterans Affairs Commission, the Iowa Department of Veterans Affairs Commission, the Veterans Law Office of Amy Kretkowski. I do not see Amy here, but she knows more about the VA law than the VA knows about VA law, and she's who helps me with appeals. I'd like to thank Jessica Grieving with Residential Mortgage Network. She helps with our VA home loans. Iowa City Elks Lodge 590, and the Iowa City Masonic Foundation. And I really want to thank my volunteers who got you to your seat. Volunteers made it happen, so thank you. I was going to tell everybody to look under their seat, but due to time, I'm just going to tell people in the last row of the black chairs look under their seat. People in the last rows of the black chairs, look under your seat. There's 2 surprises under there. If you find one, call me tomorrow. You want a free brick. We're not selling bricks, but that's a brick you're going to exchange to get a name added to our memorial. If you find the one mistake that I know of in the program, and I would have told you this earlier, but you'd have found more than one, but if you find the one mistake, we're going to knock $25 off your order if you want to add a veteran using today's program only. Within your program is a QR code for you to scan. Instead of having too many people by the kiosk, if you want to read the bios or find your engraving, you can scan that QR code with your phone, try and find it. Now, my surprise for the day
The initial 605 bricks that we engraved in 2013, thanks to the Board of Supervisors and all those who I just listed. Imagine granite similar to this, a little smaller, with all 605 names behind me with that POW MIA logo and listing some of those supporters. So we just need to come up with a name, operation, get off the ground, something better than that. But that is something that we've been working on for a while, so I'm glad to announce that. If you placed an order, and every order received has been engraved, but if you've placed an order to be added, and any problems, typos, call me tomorrow. We're not talking engraving mistakes today. I'm so lucky and grateful to be here. Look around. In addition to celebrating annually, let's continue to pay back our veterans, earning it. This is the least that we can do. We must live the best that we can. One more addition to the script. I'm going to ask my mother, Brenda Boseneiler from Illinois, to read the benediction. And I can't fix the speakers, Mom, sorry.
That's okay, I think I can talk loud.
Stay right there.
I talked loud when you were young, right? Good afternoon. We remember today all those who have come before us and given the greatest gift to our democratic nation, their lives, their duty, their honor, and their lives are precious gifts that must be given to the future of our country and our families. The duty of our veterans past and present is the fiber of the word freedom and is stronger by our recognition and sacrifice. We honor that service and sacrifice today and should carry it forward for our children to honor. Freedom and democracy are the result of all of the most honorable this country has produced. Today, we stand to remember the most honorable amongst us, and we must continue to carry the burden of sacrifice, lest we lose sight of what true freedom is. Today is for remembering. Stand in honor of them. Walk in their path of duty. Remember the cost, and hold in your heart the cause of freedom. We remember today, Memorial Day, our veterans. From the writing of Lynn Davis, may God bless America. Stay safe.
Thank you, Mother. Thank you, everyone, for celebrating with us. Let's continue to earn it. God bless our fallen. Have a wonderful day. Glenn is going to finish the ceremony with more patriotic set.